Hey guys, Karsh here. Super excited to release a brand new feature in OneTap called Punch Passes. We've seen a lot of users use OneTap for example, gyms, martial arts centers, as well as like for yoga studios, etc. And and then a common feedback that we've gotten is, hey, I want to put a cap on the number of times someone can check in. So I basically want to have this punch pass system where if someone has checked in X amount of times, we want to prevent them from checking in further. They got to come buy like another pass. Usually it's related to billing and just kind of like, access management. Like if you've sold like, 10 visits, we want to keep track of that. Or if you've sold a pass for 14 days, we don't want them to be able to continue to check in past that. So this is something that I think OneTap was really missing, and now we've developed this, and we've been developing this for a while. So now we've kind of polished it where we are confident in releasing this as a beta. So let me take you through the OneTap dashboard and the kiosk and show you how this works. So on the dashboard here, you want to go to the profiles tab. Right now this is in beta. And then you go to the punch passes section and you can create a punch pass. So over here you can give it a name. So by default it doesn't have to have a name. For example, like if you have a 10-day pass, a monthly pass, or maybe it's like tiered system like gold pass, or like however you want to name it, right? And then by default it has a start date, which is right now, and then it's got the expiry date when it expires. So the check-in limit is like how many times that person can check in. So let's just say, for example, for right now I'm just going to do one. Like I literally want to just give out one, maybe like a free class, right? So I put the name right there, it just says free class, and create. So the idea here is that they can check into any class for free, okay? Now, if I go over to the kiosk, this is on the iPad side, and if I look for Alicia's name and come up right here, it's gonna say free class, like the name of the pass, and it's gonna say one check-in left. Okay, simple. So now these are like the classes that are going on. So if I hit kickboxing, and I've already checked in once, but I'm gonna check it again. It's gonna say you've already used all your check-ins, no check-ins remaining, right? So then it's gonna gray out these buttons. That is perfect. This also works if you pin it to a specific list, by the way. In that setting right there, we were like looking at multiple lists that are going on, but you can always go over here and you can say, hey, this is only like limited to, for example, like the wrestling class, right, that we have set up for today. Now, if you go to the dashboard, I've already used up that one check-in as Alicia, right? And if I click on it, it's gonna say it's active, and it's gonna say total of 1 check-ins. Now if I go back and reload this, let's see what it says. It's gonna say expired, 1 out of 1 check-ins used. And if I click on it, it's gonna say over here, it's gonna say that, okay, this is when it started, I believe, and this is enabled. From our user side, we can enable or disable passes, but yeah, by default it's enabled. And it says, okay, this is like the list we checked into, and this is like the check-in date, and it's got the option here to remove the check-in record. So like for any reason we wanted to invalidate this, we wanted to be like, hey, maybe they weren't there that day, or they accidentally checked in, or for example, it was just like the wrong name. We can always remove the record, and we can always associate check-in records. For example, for this profile across like different lists. So we could be like, hey, it wasn't this one, and maybe it was a different one that we wanted to attach over there, right? So that's also possible with this view right here. So that's a little bit about pass management. Now let's look at the expiry feature, right? Because I feel like a lot of people would be, for example, selling passes that have an expiry date on it. So let's just say, for example, it starts today, and for this person, we want to say it expires literally like, let's just do like a little bit of a hypothetical scenario where it just started on the 15th. Maybe it was like or let's just say like 11, so it was like a 7-day thing, and it started, for example, at 9 a.m. and it is gonna expire like literally at 10:33 a.m. and then I'm gonna go ahead and say they were allowed like 2 check-ins. And then on the kiosk, if we go over here, click on Dan, we're gonna see that it's gonna say 2 check-ins left, but it already expired, right? And it's gonna do this little shaking animation. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can't really register and check in. Now, if it didn't expire, you'd be able to continue, and you'd be able to use up the 2 check-ins, or until the expiry date comes around. And then the same thing over here. You can click on those passes, and you can take a look at, okay, what is the status on it? Like how many days or how many hours are left? And then you can always add in check-in records and remove check-in records manually. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for passes. That's pretty much it for punch passes. It's like a pretty quick way to create punch passes on the dashboard, be able to link it up to the kiosk, being able to see how many check-ins are left, etc. And yeah, basically be able to manage all that pretty easily and prevent check-ins. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the feature to be able to export the passes, being able to create them in bulk, and being able to manage them a bit more easily.